Welcome to Lessons from the Clipboard. And today is an introduction to equations. So we have an equation here, and we're going to talk all about the different components of this. So first off, the first thing we have is called term. So term is a single part of an expression separated by addition or subtraction signs. Well, we actually have two expressions. On the left side of the equal sign, we have 3x minus 4. On the right side, we have 12. So there's a subtraction sign here, okay? We really end up treating that like a negative. So we have three terms, okay? So our terms are 3x, negative 4, okay? So subtraction is adding the opposite. And so we can add a negative 4, but so our term, that subtraction or the negative has to be carried along with that 4. And the last term is 12. Okay, so when you look at this, the easy way to count it is just how many spaces are separated by addition or subtraction signs. The second thing that we need to do is make sure we understand just what an equation is, okay? So an algebraic equation is a mathematical statement that asserts the equality of two expressions joined by an equal sign. So we have one expression here is equal to another expression. A lot of times we're going to be solving equations. What people will talk about is that you have to balance the equation. So if you do something to one side of the equation, they'll say you have to do it to the other. So if I add, in this case, I'd probably add 4 to the left side. I'll have to add 4 to the right side. It keeps it balanced. Think about just a balance of weights and measures. Okay. If I add something to this side, I have to add something to this side. In this case, we have 3x minus 4, and it's balanced to have 12 on the other side. So if I do something over here, if I add 4, think about if you add 4 pounds of this, all of a sudden it's going to, be tipped to the left side. So I'd have to add 4 pounds to this, for example. The next term we want to look at is called a variable. So when you have equations, a lot of times you're going to have variables. Most of the time you're going to have variables because that is often what we look to solve for. We're trying to figure out what the value of a variable is. So the variable is just a symbol. Okay, in this case we have x as our variable. Again, it's typically a letter, but you could use a symbol. You could use like some Greek letter, or sometimes you'll see in certain ones they'll use like triangles and boxes and so forth. But it's a symbol that represents an unknown number or a changing value. Okay, here in math, we're usually looking at it in terms of the unknown number, but there are times like when you get to linear algebra, or actually you just get to algebra where you're dealing with linear equations, I should say, that's a value that is changing along the way. So you look at it at specific points. And then we have numbers that are constants. So a constant is a place value that does not change. It's fixed, typically represented by a number. And so up here, negative 4 and 12, these two are constants. Okay, they're not changing. They're going to stay the same. And then our last term we're looking at today is called a coefficient. So a coefficient is the number multiplying by the variable. Okay, so in our case up here, we have 3 that is multiplying by x, so the coefficient is 3. Well, let's look at another equation. So 2/3, actually I'm going to do this. I'll put 2x over 3 minus 9y equals 17. So let's look at the different parts. Okay, actually let's do something else. We're going to add plus 4x. Okay, so in this case, if we start from the top, how many terms do we have? So there are 4 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and let's identify them. We have 2x over 3, which we could just write as 2/3 x. We have negative 9y. Again, remember that subtraction gets treated like a negative in this case when we're looking at the terms, which helps us to understand if we were trying to solve for x in this case. We have 17 and we have 4x. If you said plus 4x, that's fine. Okay. And then the second thing, we know this is an equation because there's an equal sign and it's separated by our two expressions. Third thing, variables. We have two variables. We have x and y. Those are our two variables. And then we have constants. Oops. Constant terms. And our constant terms are, well, in this case, actually, it's only 17 because these three terms have variables attached to them. So since they have a variable attached to them, it's not a constant term. A constant term doesn't change. No matter what happens to x, this 17 stays the same. Okay, so if x changes, you still have some number over here. And the last thing, you have coefficients. Well, in this case, you have 2/3. We could rewrite that as 2/3 x, like I said before. We have a -9, and we have 4. And usually we're not going to list out coefficients, but we do discuss them and use them to help us solve equations. So that is just a brief introduction to equations. Have a great day.